Let's talk about Bitcoin itself. Again, the king of the coins. And guys, interrupt me as you see fit, but this is a cryptocurrency, virtual money. Some people call it digital gold, but it was created about 14 years ago to be outside the control of any one person or group. So banks and governments aren't needed to produce it, to regulate it, or oversee it. And think about when it was formed in the ashes of the great financial crisis, right? Occupy Wall Street was happening at the time. There was a lot of backlash against banks too big to fail, a system that was broken based upon mortgages that shouldn't have been carved up and sold, right? There was this lack of trust in the financial system. So Bitcoin was born out of that, along with a lot of other technologies. But this was the big one. Again, when it was born as a digital currency, but it was really a software program and a problem solved by a mysterious figure, whether this person is an actual person, a group of people, a consortium, a man, a woman, an alien. We have no idea, but they go by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, right? The creator of the Bitcoin currency, who basically created this idea for this digital currency through this white paper. And scan the code if you want to geek out and read it. It gets very dense, very fast. But they created it for a reason, to create this currency that lived on a blockchain, a digital ledger, away from government oversight, away from the big bad banking institutions. So if you really want to get into it, you can read about Satoshi, or you can read the white paper itself. I've only made it through a few pages, and it really knocks me out because I'm just not that smart. But people that love to geek out on computer programming really are into the white paper, and it makes a lot of sense for them. But he created this idea for Bitcoin to be this coin, this currency that traded on the blockchain. You've probably heard this name a lot, the blockchain. What is the blockchain? Well, the blockchain is like a digital ledger. If you think about, if you ran a small business years ago, or you had parents that did it and they had the accounting sheet, the assets and the liabilities, and every transaction was recorded on a real ledger, on a real piece of paper. This is a digital ledger, but it's wide open to everybody. So all records are transparent, and it's impossible to alter the blockchain. It is a digital record of transactions, of work, of insurance. It's used in a lot of different ways right now. And if you think about the way cryptocurrencies and the blockchain are related, think of the blockchain like the highway. Right? The highway's built out there for all of us to get around. And then the cryptocurrencies and the tokens are the vehicles on that highway. So this is the underlying structure of all of these cryptocurrencies. They're on this open blockchain where we can see everything. And you're going to hear a lot, if you haven't already, about centralized versus decentralized versus distributed networks. This is only important so you get it conceptually. But when you think about a centralized network, think about like our banking system, right? There's your bank, could be Citibank, could be Chase, could be any Bank of America, right? But all banks are part of banking networks, right? There may be individual retail banks or chains of banks, but in the middle of it all is the central bank, right? The Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is the central bank of the United States. And then there are 12 regional central banks, and then all banks have to work within their rules, right? So that's a centralized network. Right in the middle, you got the big circle in the middle, like a solar system, and all the things running around it. Our solar system is a centralized network, if you think of it that way. A decentralized network is what blockchain is, right? This is where it's open to everybody. Everybody can see what's going on. There is no one person or thing or entity in control of a decentralized network. And that is the promise of the blockchain and ultimately all the cryptocurrencies that are trading on it, that live on it, or that are programmed into the software of it. And then there's distributed networks. Think like your cell phone company, right? There are cell phone towers and there are cell phone companies everywhere, but they're distributed all over the place. So you have your Sprint tower over here and you have your AT&T tower over here. That's a distributed network. But for the purposes of understanding cryptocurrency and the blockchain, it's really a decentralized network that you have to get your mind around. Super important to understand what that is. So guys, interrupt at any time, but just so we can get through some of these basics, because we're going to refer to some of these words. Where is the blockchain being used today in 2024 and really for the past 5 or 6 years? Well, one of the big reasons that Bitcoin was created and the blockchain became such a big thing, especially in the wake of the great financial crisis, was the ability to transfer money to people, either the unbanked or the people that did not trust banks anymore that wanted to transfer funds. Right now, globally, there's money being transferred from one country to another. People here are transferring back home to where their families are. Money transfer has been a huge business, but you think about the fees and the friction in a money transfer. If you're transferring $100, to your aunt in Jamaica, you're probably going to pay $15 on that for a money transfer fee, and there's multiple layers of friction that it has to go through. So the blockchain was used to sort of eliminate that, and you can transfer Bitcoin without paying a fee. Smart contracts, that's where the blockchain is being used as well. Think about insurance or real estate. How many stacks of papers do we sign and fill out, and how many files are there for one real estate transaction? There are hundreds of them. If you've ever bought a house or a piece of property, you'll sign your name 50 or 60 times, and the paperwork's all over the place. A smart contract is on the blockchain. Everybody can see it. They open it up like a digital file. Internet of Things, very similar. Your refrigerator knows when you're out of milk. It's already placing the order for you, right? This is blockchain, less friction, sort of the digital world connecting to itself. And then there's things like healthcare where we're using blockchain, logistics, non-fungible tokens you may have heard of, right? Those live on a blockchain and you trade those through digital currencies like Ethereum. Even the government uses blockchain, and in the media we use blockchain as well for file storage, combing through files, right? It's already in use. So if you think about this infrastructure, think of it like a highway. It's already out there, and it's been out there for a number of years. Again, I mentioned the fact that the blockchain is the highway, but then the coins and the tokens are the vehicles that trade on that highway, and they serve different purposes. So Bitcoin is a coin, obviously, the name, right? But then there are other things like tokens, utility tokens or DAO tokens. Bitcoin is a digital currency similar to a physical currency, but in the case of Bitcoin, it's not backed by anything, right? It's not a store of value for something like gold. You can't base its value off of, what it would trade in for gold, but it does have a numerator. It does have a number of a fee, a dollar amount associated with it that we'll talk about in a minute. But they operate on their own blockchain with their own protocols. You can use them as a source of payments. Bitcoin is the big one, and Ethereum, you've probably heard of that as well. In coins, we talk about smart coins, and we talk about sort of dumb coins. Bitcoin's kind of a dumb coin, not that it's a dumb technology. You just can't do much with it, but collect it, trade it. Now you can purchase things with it. Ethereum is a little bit smarter. Tokens are a whole different thing. They don't necessarily operate on their own blockchain. You can use them for payments and for signing digital agreements. So think about that real estate purchase, right? You may use tokens in a digital blockchain world to complete or parts of that purchase or part of that paperwork, right? They're more useful, but they're not like a digital currency.